are on the cusp of a major social change. Do you feel it? Even if you don't, make no mistake, change is coming, and it is going to be unforgettable. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Hart, and here on Prime Spark, where we work with and on behalf of women over 55, I want to help you find that spark that will ignite your way forward, reflect your gifts to the world, and illuminate your path through this next stage of life. Through these podcast conversations, I hope to inspire you to see how you can make a significant contribution to some of the gnarly problems that are facing us right now. Join me, and together let's discover our Prime Spark. Hi, and welcome to Prime Spark. I'm Sarah Hart, and I'm so happy you're here with us. Prime Spark is designed for women over 50 or close, with a goal to help us all live our happiest, most fulfilling, and productive lives, now and in the future. The mission of Prime Spark is to change the way our society sees and treats older women. That's a big mission, which only means we all need to be involved and we need to get going now. And today I have the pleasure of talking with Jessica Waugh, a woman whose work I greatly admire. Jessica Waugh is a certified menopause specialist, and she says this about herself. Most people are shocked when they hear I hit perimenopause in my mid-30s. At 34, I faced vaginal dryness, low libido, mood swings, hot flashes, and doctors just said, your labs are normal, but I knew better. I dove into hormones, metabolism, and functional wellness, reclaimed my energy, and got my life back. Now I help women like you stop guessing, get real answers, and feel like yourself again. You're not alone. I'm here to help. Thank you, Jessica. I'm so happy you're here today.
Thank you for having me. I feel very humbled and honored to be here with you.
Well, this is exciting. So just in getting started, do you experience getting older? And if you do, what is that experience? And if you don't, why is it that you think that you don't?
I do experience getting older, and I think I have a different view on getting older than most people. Every decade I've entered has been a better decade than the previous one. So I enjoy getting older, and I enjoy the wisdom that comes with getting older. And I look forward to, I'm about to go into my 40s. So I look forward to going into my 40s. I look forward to going into my 50s. And yeah, your body changes and things happen and all of that. Of course, we're talking menopause and things today. So you have things that you're adapting to. But for me, I really enjoy getting older, and I look forward to still getting older.
Good for you. That's exactly what I'm hoping that a lot of women will come to. So let's start with your work. You have, on your website, I was reading about pause, a wellness framework. Tell us about pause, what it stands for, and how that came about. How did you get into this? I mean, I understand your own journey, but you could go through that and not decide to set up the whole thing the way you've done.
That is a very good point. I could have just said, okay, that's my journey. Let's keep it going. I'm someone who gets kind of outraged when things aren't done fairly and morally and kindly. And my experience, like my first symptoms started when I was 32, and my doctors dismissed me, and I just was like, okay, it's stress, it's whatever it is, and it wasn't impactful in my life enough to put the time and effort into it just to be forward. I think most of us don't put ourselves first. And I was not putting myself first in that moment. And then when I was 34, 35 is when the impactful symptoms started: the vaginal dryness, the hot flashes, the libido drop, all of the lovely symptoms that we experience. And I went to my doctor again, who was a female doctor. And the biggest ones that were most impactful for me were what were impacting my relationship. again, putting my relationship first, not me first. And when I told her, she goes, well, you've been with your partner for a really long time, so that's just normal. And I was like, no, no, it is not normal. We haven't lost our sex life. We haven't lost intimacy. We haven't lost these things. We are now being impacted by them, but no, that's not normal. And I got really, really mad and really annoyed and went down a massive rabbit hole of learning because that's just my personality. I want to learn as much as I can learn. And then through the process of learning, and then me talking a little bit about my situation, and girlfriends and clients all sharing their situation with me, and they're feeling dismissed and invalidated, unheard and isolated, and all of the things that we feel, I was like, okay, I have to do something about this. I have to figure out what I can do. And so I got certified as a menopause specialist. I actually just finished my certification last week as a certified menopause lifestyle practitioner. So I just go full force into something. It's my personality. I'm an all or nothing, very intense kind of person. And in that, I realized that through education, I could make a difference and I could help. And I do work with clients as well to do more individual, specialized kind of plans. But I think in general, we just need more education and we need people talking about it because my mom's generation, my grandma's generation, they didn't talk about it. And if I ask my mom or grandma now, well, I don't have a connection with my mom, but my grandma, she's like, oh yeah, I'll talk to you about it. I'm like, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you tell me these things? Like, I was off in my own little world feeling so isolated. And I had friends telling me, oh, you're too young. It can't be that. And I felt isolated by everyone. And I don't want another person to feel that way if I can make a difference to it.
Good for you, Jessica. Now we are now starting to talk about menopause. I mean, we didn't. You're right. I mean, we didn't talk about it. It was like it was a sex act or something that you just didn't discuss, and crazy, crazy. But it is being talked about now certainly more than it used to be, and that's fairly recently. I mean, that had been going for a long time. So, do women who come to you now tend to know more about it or not? Hasn't it made that much difference yet?
I think they know the questions to ask now, and I think they know to share what's happening now. But I still think that there's so much more to know. Like the first symptoms that we start to experience are psychological symptoms. And we don't experience the hot flashes and the libido changes and the belly fat and the dryness. We don't experience those until closer to menopause, which is just one day. It's our 366th day of not having a period. And so we talk about menopause being this big thing, but it's one day. And all of our symptoms are perimenopause. And then every day after that 366 day is postmenopause, which also isn't really talked about. We don't talk a lot about postmenopause. And now it's a matter of, okay, some people are understanding menopause, they're understanding things. But the majority of everyone I talk to, when we address their symptoms, they probably have 15 to 20 more symptoms than they realize they have.
Well, I went through perimenopause, menopause. I didn't know menopause was one day. Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like a holiday, a day. um, and I remember the very first thing was psychological. I mean, because I remember very well saying to a friend, I don't even know what's wrong with me. I just feel like it's sort of raining all the time. And she said, I think you sound menopausal. And I was just, what? And I was like 50. So it wasn't for you, it wasn't like you at 32. But it had not occurred to me because I don't think at that point, this is a lot of years ago, I don't think at that point we knew, well, my friend knew, but I don't think I knew that there was a psychological component. I thought it was just all physical.
Yeah. They're just now talking about it. There was a research paper that came out, it's been within the last month, that came out talking about the very first symptoms, which are anxiety, depression, mood swings, brain fog, overall feeling off and feeling like something is wrong. Like almost every single woman I talk to, she's like, I just feel like I'm going crazy because your brain calibration is just off. Our estrogen impacts everything from our head to our toe. And a big thing that it impacts is our neurotransmitters. So our dopamine, our serotonin, our oxytocin, like all these things. And when those levels go off and everything is fluctuating in our body doesn't know how to adapt. And we feel like we're going crazy.
Yeah, I remember at the time thinking I don't know, depressed is a big word for it, but I certainly was down, and that's not my typical way of being. So that I noticed. Um, and then at some point, I thought, I hope at some point I get back the ability to think.
Mhm.
I hope that's not gone forever, but that was further down the road. So tell me about pause.
Yes. So pause is the wellness framework that I came up with. And pause has multiple meanings. Pause because menopause, perimenopause, all the pause part of it. Also, I think that we need to pause when we are in this era of our life. And we kind of hit pause on who we've been. And we start to allow ourselves, give ourselves permission to be who we are actually meant to be and not who we have tried to be. And whether that's societal conditioning or whatever, there's everybody's different on why they are who they are and how they aren't really letting the true version of themselves be. And so pause is a framework that I created to just help women all the way through. So it's an acronym, PAUSE. And P is we are prioritizing ourselves. We're prioritizing our own well-being. We're not saying, oh, I can't think of the word spoon today, and I'm having hot flashes like crazy, but I need to get my kids to soccer practice. I need to get dinner on the table. I need to have this meeting with this client. I have to go do this errand. And, we're not putting ourselves on the back burner anymore. And so learning to prioritize ourselves and see where the imbalances are. And then A is for assessing our symptoms because there are over 90 symptoms of menopause, perimenopause to postmenopause. There are over 90 symptoms, but only maybe 10 to 15 are actually like talked about on a grand scale. And so we assess what symptoms are we experiencing, and based on what your symptoms are, I can pretty well gauge if your estrogen is too high, too low, your progesterone's too high, too low, your testosterone's too high, too low. It's all connected to our sex hormones. And then U is understanding. It's understanding what our body is telling us because our body starts with whispers. The psychological symptoms are kind of whispers. And then if we don't listen to the whispers, it's going to raise its voice at us. And that's the hot flashes and the belly fat and the libido changes and the dryness and the skin getting crepey and all of the things. And then if you still don't listen to the screams, then it's going to put you down in some way. You're going to throw your back out. You're going to sprain your ankle. You're going to whatever to make you rest. And so it's learning to listen to our body when it's whispering to us rather than being put down by our body because we're not listening. And then the S is creating a strategy. And everybody's strategy is different. Everybody's lifestyle is different. Everybody's genetics are different. Everybody's body composition is different. So it's creating the strategy that is for you. Because what we don't talk about is, yes, all women who are lucky enough to live long enough go through menopause. But we all go through it differently because of our genetics, because of our lifestyle, because of our choices, because of who we are as people. We all experience it slightly differently. Some people get hot flashes, some people don't. Some people get brain fog, some people don't. Some people gain belly fat, some people don't. Some people lose their libido, some people their libido skyrockets. So it's different for every single person. So we create a plan that is specific for that one person. And then my platform that I will always stand on is E, which is education and empowerment. And I think as women, if we are educated, we become more empowered. And so just making sure that I can get as much education out as possible to help women feel more empowered in their process.
That's fascinating, Jessica. I've got about 4 or 5 questions to ask you, and whatever I ask you, I'll forget the rest of them. But if I don't if I don't know that something potentially is a symptom of perimenopause, how will I know to report it to you?
So I have a massive, like everybody who goes through my intake process is like, geez, because it is a massive intake process. I ask an immense amount of questions and we talk about an immense amount of symptoms. And I ask a lot of questions that prompt because when we as women in general, I can't speak for men, I can just speak for women. So as in general, as women, when we say, hey, what's wrong with you today? Oh, I'm good, I'm fine. Are you fine? Are you good? Is it that what is the symptoms that you're experiencing? And a lot of times I'll say, do you have these symptoms? And they'll say no, like maybe a psychological symptom, for instance. And then I prompt with questions like, oh, I actually do experience that. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, that is a thing. And so we need prompts to understand what it is that we are experiencing. So you go through a pretty lengthy intake.
Interesting. So I think on your website or you talked about it or something, you have a perimenopause quiz.
I do. Yes, there's a free symptom quiz on there. It is not as lengthy as the intake form because who would do a quiz if it's miles long? But it's overall the major symptoms that you experience, and you rate them on a star rating from like 1 to 5. How intense you experience those symptoms, and then once you hit submit, you'll get it's like a 30-page workbook that is all educational about what the symptoms are that you are experiencing, and then steps based on how intense your symptoms are on what you can do. And then you also get a 30-day kind of challenge if you want to take it as a challenge with 5 things for you to try to start shifting in your life based on which level of symptoms you have.
Can you think of one example of a question on the quiz? You may not just off the top be able to think of one question on the quiz. Oftentimes when we write something like that, then we don't look at it again for a while and forget what the questions are.
Yeah, so actually it just pulled it up so I could because I wrote it so long ago. I'm like, what do I even have on there?
Right.
So like one question that I think a lot of women don't think about is from 1 to 5, I experience bladder control issues when sneezing, lifting, or exercising.
Oh, interesting. That's connected to perimenopause.
It is, it's connected to your estrogen. Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's
Yep.
that's
Yep. Your pelvic floor health, your estrogen, your our estrogen controls a lot of the tightness, the lining, the thickness, the elasticity of our entire pelvic floor, bladder health, vaginal health, colon health, the whole works. And so when we lose our estrogen, the tightness and the firmness and the elasticity of that actually starts to falter. So that's when you get like vaginal prolapse and things along those lines. Also, that could be due to childbirth and many other things as well. But that's one like simple question, for instance.
interesting. Now, when you got to E in pause, I thought you were going to say eat.
Eat is good as a big one.
And I know educate is really important. I'm not saying educate is not, but I thought you were going to say eat. So are there any things, I mean, is it too individual to say, which it probably is, but are there any things that women who are experiencing perimenopausal symptoms really should not eat? And are there things they should eat?
Yes, 100%. And now I'm thinking maybe I should say educate, empower, and eat because you are correct. What we put into our mouth is incredibly important. And this is into postmenopause as well. It's not just perimenopause. And so some of the big things that you should not, or maybe not just not, I don't tell any of my clients they can't have something, but I say you should mitigate and moderate and minimize some of these things. The first is what I feel like everybody talks about, which is ultra processed foods. Anything that is not a whole food is a processed food. And so, bags of chips, anything that's pre-made basically isn't ideal because of preservatives and all these other things that go into it. And what we don't talk about a lot with these ultra processed foods is they actually have hormone disruptors in them. And so when we're eating these, bags of chips or cookies or pretzels or whatever the case it is, things that aren't whole foods that we make ourselves, they have estrogen blockers or hormone blockers or hormone disruptors. Everybody, I think there's like 20 different names for these things. But they basically put too much or block hormones in our system. So it actually is like putting lighter fuel on the fire. So any ultra processed foods, I highly recommend against eating, or if you're going to do it, like maybe once a month and prepare yourself, your symptoms are going to escalate the next day. Alcohol is another one. So I never say don't have alcohol. If you enjoy it, that's fine. Be very intentional about when you have it. And it is going to exacerbate your symptoms the next day. So if you are going to go out and have, a few glasses of wine or something, maybe it's best on a Saturday when you can recover a little bit on a Sunday and not have it be impacting your entire work week and things along those lines. Those are the two big ones to stay away from. There's more than that, but those are the two big ones. And then as far as what you should eat, fiber is a huge one. As women, we need at least 25 grams of fiber in our diet to help with our gut health. Our gut health is then going to impact our hormone health, which is then going to impact our brain health, which impacts the rest of our body. Citrus is another really big one. If you can do like some lemon water in the morning, the first thing that hits your stomach is some like fresh lemon water with a little bit of like Celtic sea salt. That's what I start my morning with. As women, we tend to be high stress, and citrus helps with our adrenal health, which is our stress health, which helps bring cortisol down. Cortisol actually steals from our estrogen and our progesterone. So when your cortisol is high, you tend to have more symptoms as well. So that helps with just overall adrenal health. Protein is a big one. If you can have, everybody's different on how much they can have. It depends on your body weight and your muscle mass and so many things. A lot of people say, make sure you get 100 grams of protein a day. And that's an easy number to kind of shoot for, but it's not easy for a lot of people. That's a lot of protein for a lot of people. And so, in general, if you can get to 50, if 50 is easy for you, then now next time try to get to 60 the next month. If you can get to 60 easily, then try to get to 70 the next month. And protein can come from different sources, whether it's fish or poultry or beef or protein shakes or vegetables. Some vegetables, actually a lot of vegetables have a small amount of protein in them. Beans, legumes, tofu, things all along those lines. Calcium is also really important to get into our diet. We want to try to get 1,200 milligrams of calcium a day. And that helps with our bone health, our chances for osteoporosis massively increase when our estrogen decreases. So the more calcium we can get into our body, that also helps with liver health and processing all of the things that we eat. There's a ripple effect that happens with all of the foods that I'm talking about. So I'm trying to keep it very simple. Selenium is another good one. If you like Brazil nuts are an easy way to get selenium into our diet. That's the iodine health and again, our adrenal health and things along those lines. I think I'm missing one in there. Omegas is a big one. So as women, we want to get 1,100 milligrams of omega-3s in our diet a day. Whether we get that through food or through supplements is based on you and if you like that much fish or don't like that much fish. But omega-3s are really, really impactful for our hormone health.
I want to go back to something that you said before, because one of the things I have said without any information really, but I believe it because of the women that I've worked with over several years. I believe that if women are developing well, whatever that means, as human beings, many of us hit a point in our mid 40s, 50s, into our 60s when we become more of who we really were meant to be. I've seen that. And so, we care less what other people think. We don't not care, but we care less. And we're ready for more. And I think that's one of the things that happens to some couples because the woman is making these changes and the man isn't necessarily. Okay, so I've gone on and on about this talking to people. But you said that. So is what I've been just bouncing off about actually based in physiology?
Yeah. So again, I think I'm in this is what I spout off as well, but I think there's a lot of a lot of data behind it if we were to pull the research for it. And I don't think anybody's ever actually done the research for it, but just with the amount of women I work with and who I talk with, and I love talking with women in postmenopause because they're like, oh, I love who I am now, and I'm amazing, and I do all these things now, and I don't care anymore, and I do what's best for me. And I'm like, yes, I want to be like that too. And so I absolutely agree with you, and I think that's part of the perimenopause journey. And some people on, I was just posting on TikTok the other day, and one woman commented, and she goes, "It's the I don't care anymore syndrome." And it's we stop putting others in front of us, and we are forced with perimenopause, going through all these symptoms and experiencing everything we experience, that if we don't put ourselves first, our symptoms get so much worse. And so naturally, we start to pivot from caregiving and caretaking of others first to taking care of us first. And then when our cup is full, we can give a lot more. And naturally, when we fill our cup more, we are going to be more of who we want to be and who we are meant to be because we are fulfilled. When we are not fulfilled, we're giving so much of ourselves to everybody else, which is very common until probably our 40s or 50s. We are depleted, and we are not who we are meant to be, and we are adapting to societal conditionings, whatever that means for each individual person. And I'm very big on that. And there was a post that I did not too long ago, and I said, "You call it perimenopause. I call it becoming unf-withable." Because you no longer are pulled and here we go, perimenopause brain. I can't think of obvious words. We aren't as easily swayable as we used to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, what you said is in my podcasts and in a radio show I've interviewed probably close to 200 women who are generally over 50, not 100%, but generally. And across the board, when I asked them that first question I asked you, they about do you experience getting older and what, so forth. They they all experience getting older primarily physically. And that's not wonderful. I mean, usually that's not wonderful. But other than that, they feel great, And so that is across the board of all these women that I've talked to. Oh, one more question that's specific. You say that when women go to traditional doctors, they're told that what they're going through is just normal, and it might be that might be covering up some other things that could be going on in addition to perimenopause. What are some of those things?
Oh, there's a lot. So if you look at the data between the ages of like 30 and 50, more women are diagnosed with ADHD, diagnosed with depression, diagnosed with anxiety, diagnosed with they're actually, this is really an unfortunate statistic, but the suicidal rates of women massively go up. And so they get diagnosed with all of these other things because most traditional doctors, I will not say all, most traditional doctors have not done their due diligence to learn about menopause and learn about how it impacts our body. And granted, there hasn't been a lot of research out there. The research is now increasing because so many more people are talking about it. So we're getting more funding. And that's the beautiful thing. But there is research out there now. There are certifications out there now. There are things you can do. And there's incredible women like Dr. Mary Claire Haver and Vonda Wright, and got so many women who are doctors who are in that, traditional field, who have taken the time and the energy to learn and do the research and read the research and see that those symptoms in general are actually symptoms of perimenopause, and just helping women get their hormones back in balance is actually what we need, not antidepressants, not anxiety medication, not ADHD medication, not all these other things.
And how do you most often recommend women get their hormones back in balance?
Oh, so it's different for every person. So, there's two paths you can do, and one path will lead back to the first path if you choose to do this one. So the first path is hormone therapy, and that is dependent on every person. Some people are at risk with it, some people are not at risk with it. You need to find a hormone specialist. Sometimes this is the gynecologist, sometimes it's not. You just find someone, if you go to menopause, like just Google menopause society, find a practitioner, you can find someone who is certified by the Menopause Society, which is kind of the most respected credentialing body for menopause in this day and age. It's a practitioner certification that they have to go through, which is the most up-to-date research and information. So you can find people who are certified by them, who is near you, and that person 9 times out of 10 is going to be a really good person because they're doing the certification. And so that is one option. The second option is for people who maybe aren't comfortable with that or at risk for other things if they go on hormone therapy, which is maybe like 10% of the people. Hormone therapy is safe for 90% of women, but not all. And so the other is lifestyle adjustments. So a big thing is making sure your circadian rhythm is in balance. And our circadian rhythm really manages the majority of our body. So a simple free things that you can do would be right when you wake up, as long as the sun is up. Some people wake up at like 4 a.m., so this isn't going to work. But as soon as the sun is up and you are awake, get outside, no sunglasses, no hat, no sunscreen, 5 to 10 minutes, just get the sunlight in your retinas. And maybe you can just go journal outside. That's what I do. And then when the sun is setting, you go for a sunset walk, you sit on the patio, drink some tea, watch the sunset, but you want to be seeing the sunset. And that's going to help with setting our circadian rhythm. Then it's dietary choices. And the easiest thing to say, it's going to be different for everyone, but the easiest thing to say for women in this age, all the way to postmenopause, is a Mediterranean diet is going to be the easiest diet on our system that is going to be the most helpful for our individual health as women. Men, it's a different situation that's helpful for them as well, but for us, Mediterranean diet is just the easiest way to say that. And then stress. So stress management is huge. Have some sort of stress management routine that is whether it's working out or yoga or meditation or Tai Chi or whatever it is for you. And a routine that gets you relaxed at night as well. So for my routine, I go in, I do my oral care. I have a book that's a fiction book that I like to read because nonfiction gets my brain stimulated. And I take a bath and I sit and I read in the bath and then I do my skincare and then I hop in bed. I finish maybe like 5 more pages, maybe. And then sometimes the book smacks me in the face because I fell asleep with it. But we want to get away from screens in the evening to help with all of the work that we did for our circadian rhythm with all of the sunrise and sunset work. And then movement is another big one. And movement looks different for every person. You don't have to go to the gym 5 days a week. More often than not, every woman that I talk to, they're actually doing too much. And I'm like, I need you to just do a leisurely walk every day. I need you to stop lifting such heavy weights. I need you to stop doing HIIT training and plyometrics and CrossFit and all these things because it increases the stress. And if their stress is too high, most women I magnetize towards me are very high stress, overachieving women because I'm one. And so it's getting our stress down. And as much as exercise is beneficial, too much can actually be too much in our body and can also be exacerbating our symptoms. So that's kind of the main pillars to kind of focus on.
Interesting. Okay, so final question. We're out of time, but I'm just going to ask you this anyway.
Yeah.
Everything that you've said, does any of it apply to postmenopausal women?
All of it applies to postmenopausal women. So the more that you can be moving is really important, especially if you are not on hormone therapy. That movement is really crucial for keeping our bone density up. We are going to lose our bone density as we age. So it's really important that we are moving and doing some sort of body weight or added weight types of movement. So that could be just, let's stand up and do some squats real quick, or do some push-ups against the wall. You don't have to be, down on the ground. It can be light things. But where you're moving a little bit more weight than what your body is. So you could go for a leisurely walk with a weighted vest if it makes sense for your body. All of the food things we talked about are massively, massively beneficial for postmenopause. We don't need as much iron postmenopause as we do perimenopause, so our protein can come down probably just a touch, and our iron intake can come down just a touch because we're not supplementing from bleeding anymore. But all of the omegas, the calcium, the healthy fats, all of the things we still need in postmenopause.
Are there symptoms of postmenopause that are, or once you stop completely menopause, do you not have any kind of symptoms anymore?
No, that is a myth. And so many people think, oh, because menopause is finished, I'm going to be back to normal again. And that's not true for some women. For some women, that is true. For some women, it's not true. And some women, their symptoms actually get worse in postmenopause for like the next 4 years after their menstruation completely finishes. Their symptoms get worse. And so it's a matter of your whole body is just fluctuating as much, like insanely. And when our estrogen starts to deplete, for some women, they're like, oh, menopause was so easy, but whoo, I feel it now. And it's quite interesting. So genetically, that's a lifestyle, diet choices, all the things usually impact that. The more I hear that is more women who are, they have a body composition that is less than ideal. So overweight in some form, they have maybe a metabolic health conditioning issues, and are heavy drinkers or smokers or things along those lines. It tends to be that they're not as respectful to their body as what our body would appreciate. And that tends to be when the postmenopause symptoms are worse. But that's not always the case. Lifestyle and genetics can be part of that.
Right. Oh, Jessica, this was so good. Thank you. There's so much information. So I could imagine people listening are going to want to get in touch with you. If they want to, how can they do that?
Yeah, so there's a few ways. You can follow me on Instagram or TikTok, which is my company's name, JWAUGH Wellness. That's also the name of my website, so www.jwawwellness.com. I try to get as much free information out as possible, so you'll see a bunch of free information on all of those. And then we're starting some live events in Las Vegas where it's going to be group events where we do stress reducing activities, while education and empowerment around this age of life. But website, TikTok, Instagram is the easiest ways.
Okay. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
I appreciate your time.
Say again?
I said I appreciate your time.
Oh, I appreciate your time. Thank you. So that is our time today. Please join us again. You can find our Prime Spark podcast on every popular outlet. Find out more about Prime Spark at primesparkwomen.com. Thank you so much to my guest, Jessica Waugh. And don't forget, you can find her Instagram, TikTok, and her website, which is Waugh. That is WAUGH. So it's jwawwellness.com. Thank you for being with us. Take care, spread tolerance and love. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to stay updated, you can head over to my website, primesparkwomen.com, and get my free Spark Guide, 7 questions to ignite your spark, to help you discover your own spark. See you in the next episode.